There we go. There's an idea. Kind of the death of politeness. And that polite talk was not getting things done. The big problem solved. And so one of the things that really hit me was how polite people are in large major grocery stores to all the people who just aren't wearing masks of all sorts. I mean, like all sorts. And then there's people just walking around with their arm in front of their face now and then, or holding up their T-shirt. A lot of homeless people, they can't get masks, of course, so they're just walking with something in front of their face, or not at all. Just they finally realize that nobody's going to say anything. Like literally, nobody would say a word, and it's because, of course, it's both it's politeness, but of course, after these past so many months, it's the obvious thing of everyone realized that they believe violence works to solve social problems, so they're afraid of the homeless openly. And I think it's kind of funny that of Oregon, which has these people who are inordinately polite, like to the point where sometimes it throws you off. Like it's almost like those joke characters from Warner Brothers, where no after you, no after you, no I insist. That I mean, it's almost like that here at times. Even homeless people will sometimes be inordinately polite. And it's funny when you could really kind of figure out, like, you're dealing with some shifty, just shade ball, kind of person, because of how they're trying to hustle you as a to get a few dimes or something. But anyway, the thing that, wow, this was a good choice. It was good for me to take a walk. I needed to change my pattern. It's my Friday. Hey everybody, it's good to see you. Having a cup of coffee. The creme brulee latte from Starbucks with an extra shot. It's the extra shot that does it. Adds, actually, I think that it adds a bit more bitterness to it, so you really get that burnt part come through in the good way. And I don't mean that to be some Starbucks burnt coffee. No. This is actually really tasty. It's the kind of strength and everything that, such that, like, I'm not drinking it fast. So I recommend it. I do recommend it. And yes, it's turtleneck time. Oh yeah, I'm that guy. 6 pockets and turtleneck. Let me show you the style and fashion, people. Yeah, gotta have all 6 pockets. Can't have less, in case I gotta put things in there, like all my masks. So you'll see people walking around like sun like this. Oh, let's see if I could get it. Did it get the super sport? All right. Well, hopefully it did. So okay. Oregon has this fascinating kind of thing about it. Every single kind of group, it kind of identifiable, like, identity of some sort, like Oregon, a place full of individual people, a bunch of lines with a name inside of it. So Oregon has this quality that I'm finding very interesting, and so I really think the thing that jumped out at me was this idea. So it already was in the 30s before passing this law. I think it was 35 to 38 in line in education. So it took time to get there. It took a while for them to get there. Yet somehow, supposedly, the university system here is incredible. They're openly sort of pretending the masks work. It's like open pretense. Now, like, say, journalism around here that's supposedly reporting the COVID epidemic stuff, all of these have to do with tests for infection rates rather than, hospitalizations versus deaths, and then versus the overall number of the population. Like, that's not how journalism is done here. So it's and that everything that you get out of, like, sort of the local papers would be something you would expect out of, like, a free weekly. Free leftist weekly. So there's really sort of this misunderstanding, and then when you hear conversations, you'll hear like these real mutated blimp women with, like, their daughter has, like, poison flower hair. This woman has her Sneetch haircut going on, and is talking about how, all these stupid people in Kansas who don't mask up, or they don't believe in the science or something along these lines. Let's see. Yeah, how much time do I have really this morning? Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to just have to go this way. Cut the walk short today, unfortunately. But unfortunately. So, so I overhear this person talking about how places like Kansas and in, I forget, maybe it was Arizona, as they were driving through, those people don't understand how important the masks are and stuff. This is not a land with svelte women whatsoever. You have pretty much the university population, other fundamentally performers, so people who they perform. They actually perform at a high level. Performance is performance is performance. So what it is that they have to stay relatively athletic to get their highest level of performance, and they do that, and they would always naturally be people like that. The state is constantly looking to pull people in. This is also something this is why there we go. That's the exemplar idea. Why don't we pull people in rather than develop better and more versions of ourselves? We don't want any of these people who live here breeding and having good families and homes and schools and shit. No, we're going to rope in suckers from other places who will bring in all their magic good outcomes. So rather than develop good outcomes, we're going to try to import good outcomes. This is a national policy. This is like this weird magic thinking of Democrats. You also see this with black people voting for the welfare state and remnants of the Great Society. That outcomes have some kind of magical quality and are not the result of people having sometimes generationally established norms of behavior. That it's like, no, every day you make sure to do these things. What was it? My daddy said, you gotta rise in the morning and greet the sun. Oh, I can't believe I could even hear the song in my head. I can't think through the lyrics. You gotta rise in the morning and you greet the sun. You gotta have a smile on your face for everyone. And the song goes, because you might as well be because you got to be a man or you might as well be dead. and it's a good song. It's I gotta find it and play it sometime. It's a really good Numero Group. Secured it. It's the guy who also he's the same singer who does "Sock It to Me, Soul Brother." It's just a great, and there's an irony to it. I actually recommend Hoodservative. You look up "Sock It to Me, Soul Brother" from in the Numero Group, the one that they have. I'll try to make sure to post a link or something, because there's just a few lines in it that he mentions famous people who are famous in the 70s, and that you'll be like, oh my god, how did you manage to put those people all together? But anyway, so this idea of this also has a lot to do with the industry that is the institutional education, as like the higher education, and its many different kind of research groups and all these tangential businesses that form around the graduate work, the various government entities that then get interested in who's doing what kind of graduate research and this, that, and the other, to cultivate the talent, and that all makes sense. There's no part of me that even resents anything like that. That it is what it is. To pay a human to do research, sometimes what you have to do is just enable them to have the training itself. And there's always a benefactor. There's, in any kind of endeavor of humans like this, it's just, is that research can be groundbreaking and worthwhile for overall humanity and such like, so this is the kind of area where you'll find people will get grants for stuff that's worthless. There's this kind of culture of pretense around the vid, and that there's a part of me that the thing that really I've been thinking about, what really made me think about all this, is there's so much of it that it's when I see, as somebody who was a Democratic voter for so much of his life, what happened to the party, and then beyond that, how deep they're in with like DHS, CIA, FBI, and just like the horrible irony of how much they owe, obviously, now to all kinds of different parts of the government, that nobody in the party would ever like be okay if they really understood it. But then there's that part of me that I'm like, I think they get it. I do think they get it. And I think that's kind of a part of what's sort of happening, is this reflection of like that no matter how we might criticize politics in another country, ours has shown itself to be unbelievably dirty, to the point that it's hard to fathom. No, that's the whole thing. It's just hard to fathom. It would break people's hearts. It would break their minds. To a great extent, I think I'm seeing something like that here. Something is fractured here. I don't know how to really explain it. It's just the conversations about what is now normal. And normal was changing so much, and Oregon started to embrace here and there sort of like trappings of California, but also while resenting California, and then having kind of an improvement in income, that a lot of it's like basically people who are like retirees from public service of some sort. There's a lot of that here, a culture of that. So you'll have these people like always fiddle-faddling, always staying busy, and like fixing their house endlessly, and stuff like that. So the economy really requires those people here. Like, we really, really, really depend on these people who are retired, who have like kind of this endless fountain of retirement money or something. Like you're not seeing sort of the real deal Holyfield explosion of some type of device or item or service that is based around here. And I'm now starting to get a bit more worried because there were opportunities. There was a handful of things that it looked like they might open up in Oregon. I'm like, that would be good because that's a burgeoning market. That's a thing that people are about to start buying. But then it didn't quite happen. Or maybe, yeah, because, and so there's still a huge amount of demand for labor. Like, huge. So it's just this part of me that I'm just kind of like, I mean, imagine, I try to imagine something like a comedy, like a gag or something, where somebody fucks up that many times in a row. Like, so immensely. You know, that it's like just every single choice they make becomes the explosive comical error in Dick Van Dyke style. Falls over a chair, falls over a table. He's like, oh my gosh, and then everybody's laughing, and you know, and I just can't imagine, like, the Democrats are at this stage where, I mean, almost everything they've touched has turned to dust. And within months, I mean, like, within so little time, everything they've touched has turned absolutely into dust. And that it's literally now Trump's, the Republicans who hated Trump that are still left in Congress, that the Democrats can't get things done without them betraying the party. Like, how clear so much of this kind of stuff is becoming. Who's on what side? Like, that they're sort of this weird quality of overall a proof positive.
I'm like, I'm not touching it.
I know, you don't wear it that way, pup. The dog picked up a mask and wouldn't drop it out of its mouth. It was thinking no, but I found this. You know when dogs have that look, and you're like, no, drop it. And they're looking at you like, but do you see? I found this. And you just can't even understand how it is. Like, this dog has walked past 1,000 things, picks up this one disgusting item and has it dangling out of its face, and is super excited. Yeah. So there's this part of me that it's it's almost like this weird as above, so below quality, like this reflection of the larger part of how the party now is just bananas, and everything they touch just dies. And then everything that they say they're doing, all the motivations, are these motivations that it's like, wait, but one, nobody asked you to do that, and then two, that motivation doesn't even make sense. A motivation to help people of color in Oregon get through school by allowing kids not to be able to read. Eugene, Oregon, about second or third largest city, maybe fourth largest city, something like that. This city has a population of black people that is 2% of the population. And you see us around. And you'll see us places. You'll see us walking someplace or at the store. It's not like you never see us. Probably with school, it gets to a height of maybe about 4% of the population. Something like that. Yeah. And so what they would have to be talking about, and I really mean this, I'm not even kidding, the group they would have to be actually talking about are Native Americans. They're the largest minority in the state. And I think they're somewhere in the teens of percentage of the population of the state, if I remember right. Oh no, what are you messing with? What are these people doing? And so, I know, totally, it's always like that. Going, eyes up, what are they doing? Let's just move around. Yeah, we're gonna go around this way. Even though it looks like you're just cleaning garbage out of a place. It looks like you might be good Samaritans doing good things. But I'm not going to trust this yet. I'm going to walk circumspect about you. Yes. And so the motivation would have to be that they're simply not getting the graduation numbers among Native Americans or possibly Hispanics that they want, so that they're like, okay, well, if we do this, they'll be able to graduate anyway. But then this is one of the weirdest things, because these are two groups in particular advocated for by the liberals here. And so it really is now this thing where it's just nothing going on in the Democratic side. It's like, is this sort of, it makes sense. Wow. And I had to roll it over. I had to go through this kind of aloud, because these keep popping up in my mind. Like, you want this outcome, but you're advocating for this policy, and then at, say, a local level, you're doing this, and all of these things are ruining the outcomes you want. So why? And then I'm like, how do you have a principle that you're acting on that so effectively undoes good outcomes? Which, I mean, like, this has got to be a thing. It's not, it wouldn't be like, it's not, it would be kind of a plan, right? Like, how do I break this? Like, if you knew that there was a way that you could hit the buttons a certain way and it would break the thing, you know? Yeah, I don't know. All right, later.